About 3 weeks ago, I put this selfie on Facebook. It was taken in the emergency department of a local hospital, and I had just gotten the word that indeed my foot was fractured. So I thought, well, okay, how best to tell my friends that I've had this little mishap, and please don't worry, and please don't ask me how it happened, because I don't want to say it over and over and over again. Well, this was the reaction I got. Maybe not everyone knows what does OMG stand for. Everybody? O. Or if you happen to come from a Puritan heritage like I do, oh my gosh. Or maybe, oh my goodness, at times. I didn't grow up mentioning the name of God much. It kind of was one of those things that you saved for the Lord's Prayer and church. It just didn't really want to come out of my mouth because we were too afraid to be offensive. So it can be a little, awkward. I still look at it and say, oh my gosh. On the other hand, these days it seems as though people say, oh my God, OMG, for just about any reason. Someone got their home redecorated on TV. What's the first thing they say? Oh my God. Maybe you're just watching a funny video. Maybe you've heard a piece of gossip. Maybe you're just really annoyed and frustrated, like I was watching the Nats last night. But reality, those are oh my gosh moments, right? There wasn't really God involved, was there? I'm trying really hard these days to not use OMG in this kind of casual way. It's a challenge for me because, like I said, I just as soon, say gosh instead of God anyway. But the biggest challenge is for me to really be open to the possibility, to the reality that God is worthy to be named, that God is present in times of trouble, in times of grief, in times of bad feet. Now, today's scriptures here have an interesting common thread. And it's a Greek word that is, a form of it is used in each of the lessons that we heard today. This word could maybe, in our day and age, be loosely translated as OMG. St. Paul says, I am astonished. I am astonished that you have stepped away from the gospel, that you are listening to a new gospel. Shocked. And Jesus is amazed at the faith of the centurion. Well, these words all come from the same root, and there are a handful of ways, again, in which this kind of can be translated. To be amazed. Sounds good, usually. Good thing. Astonished. It might even include some justifiable, righteous anger. It could be times of fear and fright. That's all that can come out of your mouth because you are stunned and without words for what your situation might be. And then there's just good old plain being in awe, marveling at something that is so much bigger than you. They all come from the same root. So why, aside from the fact that I do like language, am I so interested in this vocabulary word. Like, who cares? What did Jesus say, right? But I want to talk about this OMG thing. It's a reaction. It's a visceral reaction to what we're doing, what we're dealing with, what we're experiencing at the time. It's all about here. It's not about here. Okay. But then, how do you respond to that? How do you respond to that shock, to that surprise, to that grief, that anger, that emotion? Well, you might do like I often find myself doing. I play the INGI card. You know that, right? I am not getting involved. Thank you, but I'm going to pass. I am not getting involved in this situation. So, young person's friend has just failed algebra. Not getting involved. Your work colleague is having some trouble and really needs someone to pick up the slack for a while. Not getting involved. OMG, a neighbor is being harassed because of their Muslim faith. I'll play that card. No, not me. Not going to go there. There's so much pollution in the Chesapeake these days, and yet, what can I do? I'll pass. We put these two things together, OMG, the gasp, the situation, and then the card that's so easy to play. Well, we can miss a lot. We can miss a lot when we do that. And so was the proposition for Jesus. Jesus, he's really getting himself a following. He was really cranking. People were coming. People were being healed. People were being saved from demons. There was just a lot of amazing stuff going on. And that was great to have a following. That's pretty good stuff. The times were bad. They're living under military occupation. The poverty was great in so many places. The differences in the societal structures were way going against the people on the bottom. There was illness. There was suffering. And oh my God, what a depressing sight. What can anybody do? And alas, those leaders of theirs were playing that I'm not getting involved card. But in the Bible, this vocabulary word that we're talking about, this word that can mean awe and amazement, this word keeps appearing over and over because it's following Jesus. And everywhere Jesus is going, people are marveling and amazed and awestruck because there's something bigger happening here. Because, oh my God, it is God. It is God who's active. And they got it. And it was challenging and daring them, and some of them are actually getting involved, not playing that card, but stepping out and advocating for each other. And here in the story this morning, it's these friends and these compatriots. So here's a slave, this guy, bottom of the barrel, and yet he has advocates on his behalf who are stepping out to do something to try to save his life. They're getting bolder. They're getting confident. And it's because they got involved. I like this story because it kind of turns the tables a little bit. Gives us an opportunity to see this from Jesus' point of view, from Jesus' perspective. Preacher Lucy Lynn Hogan is the one that says the amazing element of the story is that Jesus is the one who's amazed. All these other examples, it's the people being amazed, it's the recipients of the gift being amazed, but here we really get to see Jesus amazed in this kind of way. So our scripture today begins at the end of all the famous stuff that gets quoted a lot, the Beatitudes and the calls to love and serve our neighbor and our enemy. And Jesus he really rocked this. He got a big crowd out, everybody got it, and so here's Jesus. Now what? Oh my God. All this stuff I just told them? What if they really do it? What could really happen? And the wonderment and the awe is an amazing moment for him. So he's had this big day. Now it's time to head down to the seashore and take a little break. Little Capernaum, seaside town, get some crab cakes, get a little sun, relax, something like maybe a few people are doing this weekend. So I visualize Jesus sitting in that beach chair with the cold drink, and this is the time he pulls out his little I'm not getting involved card, just kind of lays it out there, puts his feet up. Okay, time out. But that doesn't last long, because OMG, here come the fellows from the synagogue with this story about a slave who is dying and a centurion who wants Jesus to save him. Okay, what's Jesus going to do? What can Jesus do? He just had this big speech about loving your enemies. Well, the centurions were enemies, okay? They were the enemies. You don't usually cuddle up to them too much, but this guy, he was okay. One way or the other, they got him. Come on, Jesus, put your drink down. We got another life to save. So he gets up and heads to this. Now, this story is, I think, a lot like our stories. We get pulled into something, we get challenged or encouraged to do something, and the first reaction is, maybe next time. Yeah. And we know that if we say yes, it's probably not going to be just that simple, quick fix sort of thing. There's a really good chance we're going to get pulled into something deeper, something more complicated, something more stressful, something that's going to demand more out of us than we really, really, really would prefer to be called upon to do. So, what do you do? What do you do? Sometimes it starts with a little oh my gosh episode, and surprise, it turns out to be an oh my God awesome experience and result. How does that happen? Because it's God. It really is God. So sure enough, here's Jesus. He drops everything, starts heading over to this guy's house, get most of the way there, and then more drama. Stop, wait, we didn't really, Now he's not supposed to go to the house. Okay, now what do we do? We're getting more missives from this centurion, and what does he say? I don't presume to bother you with this. You don't have to come and actually touch this poor guy. No, no. I get it. You've got power. You've got serious power. Just like I do in my job. I get it. I know. All you have to do, Jesus, say the word. And this man will live. OMG. OMG. This is Jesus' big, oh my God moment from his side. This is his big moment. Because you see, just because you got people following, it doesn't mean everybody's really kind of on your side or really kind of getting it. And Jesus had plenty of that. He was being dogged by these growing little group is getting bigger of Pharisees and lawyers that were taunting him. They were challenging him about his authority, about what kind of power he really had. Oh yeah, right. The sarcasm. Well, it gets wearing. It gets frustrating. And yet here was this man who was not a Jewish leader, was not learned in the traditions, was not part of this culture, who saw the power, who saw that this was God's work happening, and that the authority that this man Jesus had was way up there, way bigger. And so Jesus is like, oh my God, there is faith. And it's even stronger among these Gentiles and sometimes than it is in our own community. I've never seen such faith. Oh my God. What a marvel. So have you had any OMG moments recently? Anybody? Yeah? Sometimes they're the ones that we passed over. I'm not looking to give anybody a bad time about that. But they're all around us. They're here every day. And you never know what it is that is going to turn out to be an oh my God experience. You don't always know going into it, do you? We were at the grocery store the other day, my husband and I, and looking over green beans. Can't get more ordinary than that, I guess. And here comes this gentleman that comes up to us and says, I'm 89 years old. I'm 89 years old, and I am glad to be alive. And I am grocery shopping because my wife is really ill, and she can't do it. But I am glad to be alive. Oh my God, who got blessed in this encounter? If we had not said something if we had not just gave the guy eye contact, if we had not listened to what he said, in the midst of his struggle and his pain, we got blessed. Wow, oh my God, that's so cool. That's so awesome. Well, back to my emergency department life. That was an interesting experience, and one that so often we find ourselves when we're suffering, when we're vulnerable, when we're in trouble, that God has something for us and gives us something to give to somebody else as well. It was not a happy place, not just simply because my pain level was at a perceived 7.5, 8 on their little scale. The place was crowded. People were not getting attention. There were more patients in the waiting room than there were family members. Everybody was grumbling and sick, and it was not a good place to be. Not what I was counting on. But finally, my husband gets me into the wheelchair, and we get parked over there, listening to all the moaning and groaning and I'm just like, this hurts. And I got back. They took my X-ray and twisted my foot really good. It just made it hurt twice as much, and then rolled me back out there with all the people in the waiting room again. parked me next to this woman who's got a basin in her lap and is doubled over, moaning. And she's got a family member on either side. No sign of a nurse, no sign of a doctor, just pain and grief. And I'm sitting there, my foot up. And I look over on the other side, and here's another lady, older lady who I could realize was part of this same group. And she turns to me. How you doing? What happened? Looks like it really hurts. We just chat a little bit, get distracted, make our way. Nothing big, nothing special, but everything special. Because, oh my God, guess who was there with us? So she leaves, and finally they get help for her loved one, and I'm like, okay, I'm still waiting. I look over, and here's a woman sitting all by herself with a patient bracelet on, no sign of anybody with her. And I realized she'd been there for several hours, all by herself. I looked at my husband, and he just nodded, knew what to do. We rolled on over and sat with her and held her hand. There was plenty left for me to be able to give, even though I was hurting. And it just passed around because they're all gifts from God. Oh my God can be a shock. It can be a scary thing. It can be a desperate thing. It can be absolute, pure awe at the love and the presence of God in our lives. How about you? OMG. Amen.